Hey, everybody, this is TJR,
And this is Robert Kinsler.
and welcome back to the top 100 songs of all time. There, hopefully that was dramatic enough.
Yeah,
And
that was definitely dramatic.
if you're new, welcome to the channel. And if you are new, just a little heads up here. This top 100 songs that we're doing here, we're going to do number 71 through 75 on this episode. And these are our personal lists. These are not based on historical significance or any of that. It's just whatever song pops in our head next. That's how we do this stream of consciousness. And so we've each got our 71 through 75. And we are going to, I guess, begin. For those of you who are not new to the channel, welcome back. And good to see you again. We've also enjoyed seeing your own lists as you give us your next five in the comments. And so let's go ahead. We're doing 71 through 75. I will start here. I'm surprised that Boston has not made this list yet. I was very surprised when this song popped in my head. I thought, wait a minute, didn't I do Boston already? No, I hadn't. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of Boston songs I could have chosen. A lot. But I have to say, I cannot not put this song on the list. Even though this song has been overplayed to death, there's no denying its charm, its beauty, and its power. And that, of course, is the first song off of Boston's first album, More Than a Feeling. Still simply amazing to my ears, still puts me in a place in a way that few songs do. And so my number 71.
You know, TJ, what can I add? This song, pure perfection, and it's just simply a timeless classic. And it sounds as amazing to me whenever it comes on, or I put it on, as it did the first time I heard it. It's simply just a glorious, glorious rock song, and probably one of the key reasons why I think Boston should be the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, this song and their first album alone, it truly was a revolutionary and amazing album, and it still stands up.
Yeah.
You know,
I almost, started to overthink it because it seems like such an obvious choice. I kept thinking, what about Cool the Engines off of Third Stage? What about Don't Look Back off of Don't Look Back? There
right.
were songs that I thought, but no, this one. Anyway,
That's the
so
song.
yeah,
That's a ticket. Yeah, and I'll jump to my 71 here,
sure.
which is Venus by Shocking Blue. Now, Venus is a song by the Dutch band that was initially released as a single in the Netherlands in the summer of 1969. And again, while we're on the subject, this is a song that defies time, and it's been covered. This song has been covered so many times, most notably by Bananarama back in 1986. According to Wikipedia, this song, which still sounds amazing to my ears, was recorded on a 2-track machine, which is crazy.
That is crazy. I was not aware of that fact. I've always enjoyed this song. I like the Bananarama version from the 80s, which surprises a lot of people, but I liked their pop version of it. I thought it was a lot of fun. And I liked the blend of all their voices on it too. But this one, I can't think of who the lead singer's name is, but I loved her stark vocals. She reminds me a lot of Grace Slick. And I love the very, 60s groovy yet very dark tone that the song has. And one other little fun fact. Speaking of covers by the band Shocking Blue, not the song Venus, but the band Shocking Blue, they have a song that is called Love Buzz. I think it's off the same album as Venus. And Nirvana covered that song on their album Bleach. Yeah, just a little fun fact I thought I'd put out there. Yeah. I will opine now and give my number 72. And this time it's going to be Steely Dan. And the track is Do It Again. This is, of course, just like with the Boston song, first song off their first album. And quite frankly, there are no bad Steely Dan songs. I've got all the albums. There are no bad Steely Dan songs. So just like with the Boston track, it probably feels very cliched. It might feel very cliched to some viewers. Oh, the first hit single of the first album, but that took you a lot of work. And like I said, again, I kept thinking, well, what about Charlie Freak? What about Chain Lightning off of Katy Light? What about Royal Scam, the title track? There were just different songs that kept popping in my head. But that first big hit, Do It Again, even though it, once again, like More Than Feeling, decades of radio airplay, it does not lose that sense of dark menace that song has. There is just something so menacing about that song. It feels like the audio equivalent of a horror movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's how it feels to me. I love it every time I listen to it for that reason. Because it's just like it, I just love it's like I'm watching a horror film. That's my number 72.
TJ, I'm going to agree with you. That's just a great, cool track. I love the groove, and I love that long and artful instrumental intro that slides into the opening verse. And I simply can't believe that this track is more than 50 years old. I mean, it just still sounds so great. And you're right. I've never heard a Steely Dan song that disappointed me. But yeah, that's a great pick.
What's your number 72?
Well, this is a song that, maybe like More Than a Feeling. I can't believe I hadn't got around to this song yet on the list, because here we are again at number 72, and that's Chuck Berry's Johnny Be Good. This is one of the best known rock songs in history. Not only rock songs, but just songs, period, right? And this song came out in 1958, and it simply needs no introduction. I think it's one of the best songs ever. And I believe, from my mind, it's the first original song about rock and roll stardom. But it's just a great song. I mean, the guitar work, the lyrics. I mean, it just gets you want to get up and moving and dance around it. And if you're a guitar player like us, you want to pick up your guitar and start playing too.
Yeah, a lot of guitarists cut their teeth learning that song first, and I think you are probably spot on about being the first song about rock and roll stardom, and there have been plenty since. And I have heard over the years so many bad garage bands cover it and do it badly, and that's because Johnny Be Good is such a simple song that it takes real skill to pull it off and make it come to life. I think that's the thing about it. A lot of bands will do it because, it's simple, let's do it. But and I'm sorry, I'm now suddenly ranting about cover bands, but which I've been in my share of. And I always said, if we're gonna do Johnny Be Good, you got to do it right. You can't do it half-assed, or people are gonna know. But yeah, and of course Chuck Berry, big influence for me as a songwriter. And I don't think Chuck Berry gets the credit he deserves for being a songwriter. Someday I have to do a video about him and just talk about his legacy.
It's because his personal life was so plagued by controversy. And also, as we've talked about a number of times over the years, his performances could be very disappointing, especially in the latter part of his life. But that doesn't take away from some of these amazing songs and great recordings that he gave the world, especially in the 50s and 60s. I agree.
Yeah,
well said.
I agree. So with that said, I'm going to go to my number 73, which is the first time that I am putting a cover on this list. And that is Satisfaction by Devo from the album Are We Not Men? I had been avoiding cover songs for this list. I thought, don't do covers. It's got to be all originals. And definitely the Rolling Stones version, their original version, could have definitely made this list. Definitely. But I already had 3 Rolling Stones songs on this list so far. And I don't want to get too overcrowded with too many other, with the same artist. And also I should add, my first exposure to Devo was watching them perform this song live on Saturday Night Live back in the 70s. And I heard it. I was floored by their performance. I'm sure that played into it. But I was also floored by just how they did the song, just how radically they reinvented it. I almost didn't know what they were playing at first. As I was like, wait a minute. Is this what I think it is? Holy cow, it is, And yeah. I've also heard, of course, that the Rolling Stones were thrilled with this cover. And I can't verify this, but I remember hearing people would say, and like I said, this is pre-internet, so sometimes you hear things on hearsay, you can't verify everything, but that apparently there was some, I think it might have been Bill Wyman or someone in the Rolling Stones said, yeah, they do it better than us, actually. And so, yeah, but a great, insanely good version, a complete radical reinvention. And I think it was just a great way to break down the wall from the 60s and 70s classic rock era into and this is the late 70s, but like I said, the punk and new wave was already starting to happen. And to break down that wall for punk and new wave, and was with that song, with that cover of Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. So that's my number 73.
Yeah. TJ, I wouldn't have placed this on my list, but re-listening to it, to the track today, I realized how groundbreaking and how fun Diva was when We Are Not Men was released back in 1978. You forget how early that, kind of in the new music era that came out. It is a great choice, and I really recommend people out there listen to that album, as well as Freedom of Choice, which I really like, and that was their groundbreaking 1980 album. But you got me thinking again, and really having me zero in on just how important Diva was, and just how fun and how great they were. A good choice.
That's another band I want to do a more in-depth topic video on at some point. And I would also recommend just to watch that live performance on SNL. It is so out of this world. It was just live. They just tore it down with that performance.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, with just one track, one song. There you go.
Yeah, and they made quite a statement. Exactly. Now, moving on to my number 73 is a song titled Emmylou, and that's from the Swedish group First Aid Kit. Now, this is a really emotional song from the duo's 2012 album, The Lion's Roar. And that's where the sisters, and hopefully I don't butcher their name, Clara and Johanna Soderberg, and they co-wrote this beautiful country-flavored track. The song is named after American country singer Emmylou Harris and focuses on her musical relationship with Graham Parsons. And it compares that musical duo and what they are to kind of John and Johnny and June Carter Cash as well in the lyrics. And this song is really about the joy and magic of singing together with someone that you love. And it's just really a beautiful song.
I was not familiar with this track when you first brought it up. And I thought, So I went and listened to it. And right from the opening, I really just love the very lush country sound of this song. And I'm not a big country music fan, though I do like a lot of some old school country, not a lot, but some of it. And this had such a beautiful, lush sound, and it just very captivating song. And yeah, really, really sweet lyrics. And of course, I've heard First Aid Kit before because we've talked about them in the past. And yeah, and I love the way they sound when they sing together. Good choice. Yeah. And so
now, like that one.
And now, number 74 for me, an instrumental and entitled Fractured Mirror by Ace Frehley from the album Ace Frehley. Back in 1978, the four members of Kiss each released a solo album, but they did it under the Kiss banner. And Fractured Mirror was the closing track to Ace Frehley's first ever solo album. It's a kind of a strange instrumental piece that starts with this very atmospheric acoustic riff and then keeps building. Other instruments come in, there are some power chords, and it just builds and builds to where you've just got all these instruments playing at once. And then the other instruments slowly start to go away, and then you're just left with the way it started. Just this very atmospheric acoustic riff. And I think there's a little bit of mandolin on it too as well. playing along with it. But just a cool little instrumental. I don't think it was ever something that would have happened with Kiss as the band, but it was something Ace Frehley could do. Even though it was still under the Kiss banner, he was able to do it solo, and just a cool instrumental piece.
Yeah, TJ, I had not heard this before till I knew you were going to be talking about it today. It's a wonderful, wonderful instrumental. And, it has an otherworldly and really shimmering cinematic quality that I really liked on the first listen. And I listened to it again and was, even loved it more the second time. Really nice choice. And I'm glad you introduced me to that track.
My pleasure. Ever since that first album, he's made it kind of a thing where I'm pretty much with only, I think, only one exception. And not on the two covers albums, of course, I should add, that's not part of it. But on almost all of his solo albums, he's ended with an instrumental piece. And they've all kind of played off the word fractured. There was Fractured Mirror, Fractured 2, Fractured 3, Fractured Quantum. And there was a whole, like I said, he would just do one of these instrumentals at the end of each album ever since that first one. I think there was one solo album where he skipped it, unfortunately, but he's always done one. And they've always been kind of a real treat just to see what he comes up with for that. Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting. And thanks for the insight on that, too. Now, my pick number 74 is from the Band of Horses, and the title or the track name is Laredo. And this is a popular single from Band of Horses' third album, which was titled Infinite Arms. And that's the album that I discovered the band with. And that was released back in 2010. And what appeals to me about it, when thinking about it, like, why do I like this song so much? There's a lot of melancholy to it and a yearning quality that impacted me when I first heard it, and it continues to resonate with me today. Just really love this song.
Again, just like the First Aid Kit, I'm not familiar with this one. I've heard of Band of Horses, but I was not familiar with this song. Gave it a listen. Very atmospheric for such an up-tempo song, and a nice, a nice what I would call a nice rocker, not rocking too hard, but rocking enough, and just this kind of atmospheric feel to it. And so, yeah, definitely I would want to hear this one again. Okay, so we are at number 75 for both of us now. And mine is Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, Part 1, as it's officially titled, by James Brown. And this track marks a turning point for James Brown, and in my opinion begins to solidify funk as a genre. And you got to think about it. 1965. It's hard to believe this song was released that long ago, that it's as badass sounding as it is, and that it still sounds as badass after all these years. And I've always said that there are a lot of hip hop artists who owe James Brown a royalty check that he never got. They owe him a royalty check for sampling him as often as they have.
Definitely, TJ. This is a groove and funky classic that really allows you to tune into the beginnings of funk. I mean, you said it, and it's still a super fun listen and gets you, wants to get you in. You realize you are listening to the dawn of a new genre of music, and it's pretty exciting when you just think about that. But it's kind of like Johnny B. Good or something. It still sounds so great after all these years. That's a sign of great music, and that's why these songs are landing on our list, I think, because they just really hold up.
Well, they still, absolutely. So
now my number 75 is a little bit more recent. It's the song isn't, but the recording is that I'm highlighting, and that's The Rocky Road to Dublin from the Young Dubliners. Now, there's so many different versions of this song available to hear, and that's because it came out in the 19th century. It's a song about a man's experiences as he travels to Liverpool, England, from his home in Ireland. And indeed, among the groups that have performed it and recorded it are the Rolling Stones. I think everyone knows who they are. The Chieftains, the Pogues, and Dropkick Murphys. And they've all recorded it. But my favorite version is off the Young Dubliners' 1994 EP titled Rocky Road. and it starts as a traditional Celtic, folk styled song, and then it bursts into this really powerful rocker. And it's one of the songs that I think got me to fall in love with Irish music.
I thought it started rocking right from the beginning. Just the whole way the acoustic guitar was just played. I thought it was rocking right from the beginning. Irish music is, of course, something that I noticed both you and Superfan have in common, in that you both like, checking out, of course, the Irish artists, of course, like you've mentioned, Dropkick Murphys, U2. You like all the, the Chieftains.
Right. There's so many.
You're both,
yeah.
And you're both Irish. So,
right. Yeah.
But at any rate, though, I've noticed you two have that in common. And I was not aware of the history of this song. I'd not heard this one before. In going to listen to it in preparation for this video, I accidentally clicked on not the Young Dubliners, but the Dubliners, which is not the same band, not the same artist.
Not the same.
And they were doing a very traditional take on it. So I sat and listened to that. Okay, well, when is this going to start rocking out hard? And it didn't. It's like, oh, this is a traditional version. Dublin. Wait a minute. Do I got the right people? Looked it up. Oh, Young Dubliners. Okay. Played that one. And okay, now I hear what Robert's talking about. So it was kind of fortuitous because I got to hear the traditional version of it, or at least a more traditional version of it than I would have heard otherwise. And I really think the Young Dubliners gave this a real boost. They really gave it a good boost. And they did a good job of turning it into a rock and roll song, in my opinion.
A quick story, if I have time, TJ, I'm going to tell everyone. So my first ever assignment covering music for the Orange County Register was in the early 1990s. My editor said, hey, we want you to go cover this Irish Battle of the Bands. I'm like, I knew next to nothing about beyond U2. Okay. Knew hardly anything about Irish music. On the bill was the Young Dubliners, Black 47, and the Finians. And I literally at that show, I fell in love, and it was the beginning of my quest to learn a lot about Irish music. But yeah, ever since that show, I've always loved the Young Dubliners. But yeah, this is just a great recording, and then that's off a great album too as well.
Very good. So there we have it. That is our 71 through 75. So the next time it's going to be 76 through 80. So we are at the final stretch here, the last quarter of our top 100.
We got to make it.
Yes, we're going to make it. Everybody stay with us. Yeah. Can't wait to get to number 100. And as always, we love hearing your responses. We love reading your 5 picks for the episode as well. So we want to know your 71 through 75. And of course, I will leave a link to the playlist of all the previous episodes so that if you've missed any of them, you can catch up, check out those videos. And again, leave us your own personal list as well. And Robert, thank you so much. This was fun as always to discuss.
Always fun.
It's always fun to see what's going to come up in each episode and what you're going to show me. And I love being able to say, here's what I got. And it's fun to examine what are my favorite songs. Well, I mean, and it's fun to hear your favorite songs. I mean, it's great. You don't think about it really until you sit and think about it, until you say, okay, right, what's the first song that pops in my head? What's the second? What's the third? And that's how we've done this. It's just, whatever pops next, that's it, So anyways, though, great fun. As always, I want to thank everybody who has clicked like on this video. If you haven't done it yet, please do it now. It really helps this channel a lot. We also invite you to subscribe as well so you don't miss a video. And a big thank you and shout out to the Patreon supporters. Patreon supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. And Robert, looking forward to your next 5. And thank you, TJ. Same goes for you. I look forward to hearing what you have to share too. Cool. And we'll see you all in the next video, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.